Namo Aditafa. Thanks so much for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The fourth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I vow to cultivate loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and to relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm determined to speak truthfully, with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news that I do not know to be certain, and will not criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause the family or the community to break. I'm determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. For our Dharma lessons, we've been reading More Than Mindfulness, Widening the Field of Practice by the Monastics of the Thai Forest Sangha. Today we're beginning a talk by Ajahn Viradhammo called Disempowering Difficult Mind States Through Contrast. This morning I was talking about the idea of cultivating with awareness, awareness with breathing. Last night I was talking about resistance. Around that theme of resistance, it's good to always reflect that Buddhist practice of mind cultivation are always in the context of dana and sila. The worldly concerns we are involved with and our social responsibilities are governed by moral restraint and generous action. We do as much good and as little harm as possible in the world. That's always the context of these teachings of the mind. If you misunderstood the teachings on non-resistance, then you think I shouldn't resist the desire to yell at someone and hurt them. That isn't the idea at all. With our action and speech, we are always doing the utmost to refrain from harming ourselves and others, and to try to enact feelings of generosity and compassion. So, there is restraint and there is activity. Restraint is governed by moral restraint, sila, and activity is governed by generosity and compassion. But within that context of our social life, our inner life sometimes throws up things which we resist, things which we don't want. That's the resistance I'm talking about. If an impulse of harm comes up into consciousness, I don't think in the morning, I think I'll do some harm today, that'll be fun. We don't think that way because we have already committed ourselves to goodness. But thoughts of harm or wanting to hurt someone or hurt myself will come up because that's just the conditioned nature of our childhood, of our culture, whatever it might be. And then the resistance to that means it never ceases. It's never allowed to be in the consciousness. It's just an object, and it is allowed to cease. We resist it, and we keep pushing it back, and it keeps popping up again. We can have a lot of self-identity around that. That's what I'm talking about when I refer to resistance and non-resistance. I'm not saying that when we get angry, we punch someone in the face. That's obviously not what we do. You need to always get that right. The shortest form of Buddhism is to do good, to refrain from doing harm, and to purify the heart. That third part, to purify the heart, is the ability to be aware of things which are deeply unpleasant and bear witness to them as something that changes, something that arises and ceases. If you dislike your parents or dislike your kids, on the one hand, you could just argue about it yourself, Or you could make it conscious. This is the feeling of disliking my parents. It's not permanent, but it may be frightening or threatening. Or you think it is real. There is the capacity to say, oh, it's like that. That's what I'm referring to in terms of non-resistance. With non-resistance, I'm referring to the Four Noble Truths, which are talking about the discontents we are experiencing as human beings, and that the causes of those discontents are an attachment to various types of wanting. When we understand that wanting and we don't attach to it, then it isn't problematic. We don't get hooked into the discontent. Our reference is more the peace of awareness rather than the struggle with the various contents of what we experience. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo Adida Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.